Identifying your needs for a decent phone in 2021 can be confusing. With so many phones coming out every year, it may be harder to differentiate what gives you the most value for your money. The Xiaomi Redmi 10 has slyly made its way into the market, priced at only 649 ringgit. Well, we know that with such a competitive price, some pros and cons are inevitable. It comes in 3 color options: carbon grey, pebble white, and sea blue. We have the carbon grey with us and has a nice matte finish that hides most fingerprints. Weighing in at 181 grams and 8.9 millimeters thick, you'll feel confident holding it even without a case. For the lack of a better word, chonky is the best way we would describe it. Not exactly the most minimal of designs, factoring in a significant camera bump and a slightly protruding screen. Equipped with a 6.5-inch Full HD Plus LCD screen and topping out at just 1080p, it's definitely not the brightest or most vibrant of screens, but we do appreciate the 90Hz refresh rate in an entry-level phone while providing color accuracy in its wake. The fingerprint reader on the side is also responsive. As for battery life, if you're someone who worries about running out of charge or often forgets to charge your phone, you'll be glad to know that the Redmi 10 claims over 2 full days worth of normal use thanks to its 5000 mAh battery. It claims to power you through with over 52 hours with battery saver mode turned on and an astonishing 312 plus hours with ultra battery saver mode. Surprisingly enough, for an entry-level phone, we're greeted by stereo speakers which are loud and immersive when watching videos or listening to music. Or if you prefer the trusty headphone jack, as rare as they come nowadays, we're still glad to see it here. As far as performance, running on a 2GHz octa-core MediaTek Helio G88 processor with 4GB of RAM, it holds up well enough for casual tasks such as light gaming, web browsing, or watching videos online. Our benchmark test shows scores that are comparable to other phones in its class, albeit a little on the lower end for its form factor, but it gets by decently at its own pace. One noticeable shortcoming is the fact that Redmi 10 operates on eMMC 5.1 storage instead of UFS, which has become commonplace even in the entry-level tier. But while it takes a little more time to do things like access data and open apps, unless you're really putting it through its paces, it won't be as noticeable. Cameras, on the other hand, comes with a quad-array camera construction consisting of a 50-megapixel wide lens, 8-megapixel ultra-wide lens, 2-megapixel macro lens, and a 2-megapixel depth sensor. The HDR feature does quite well in managing shadows and highlights for most natural light settings, although never being quite consistent in color outputs. Tones may come out differently from one photo to the next, as its exposure management isn't the best. Always a constant hit and miss in our opinion. Videos translate the same issues in noise and color accuracy. Since it tops at 1080p at 30 frames per second, the processing power falls behind and it doesn't get to fully utilize the 50-megapixel sensor and its capabilities. Aside from that, the front 8-megapixel camera will serve you well enough for all of your important video calls. Overall, the Redmi 10 makes an earnest effort to improve upon its predecessor, but while the battery life may be great and the stereo speakers are commendable, you're also able to find this and more in other entry-level phones. If you have an extra 100 ringgit or so, you may want to consider other similarly priced models like the Redmi Note 10 that could give you more bang for your buck. It's a competitive space out here, even in the entry-level tier. But if budget constraints are driving your decision, the Redmi 10 would serve well enough for daily use. We believe it's suited for users who are always on the go and don't want to worry about their phones dying on them all of a sudden. In the simplest of ways, it's reliable. And in the tech world, reliability will always be in high demand.